Hey guys, it's Brock and Anna here. We're going to take you through everything we did and tried to do this week on our homestead.
Yeah, so we've gotten a lot of questions from viewers, so we thought that we'd go over some of them and just tell y'all what we've been up to.
For starters, we tackled a lot of landscaping. Since this property hasn't been lived on for 2 years, there was a lot of overgrown, kind of out of control plants, trees, bushes, anything that you can think of. So a lot of this week we spent time cleaning that up, chainsawing, weed whacking, just trying to get the house back in order. If you can see the cat here, this is the cat that came with the house. She's nameless. If you can think of a good name, let us know. But what else did we do?
What would you say was the biggest thing that we tackled this week?
Oh man, the biggest thing we probably tackled this week was getting our pig pen and our chicken coop ready to go. Kind of our first animals that we're going to introduce to the farm are chickens and pigs. This property itself already has infrastructure ready for that. The pig pen itself was terribly far gone in terms of weeds and vegetation, so we spent a lot of time weed whacking that. The chicken coop, we're building out an actual chicken run right now for them, with the plans on getting the chickens here very shortly. So we cleaned all that up.
I'd say we got the chicken coop to a really good place. All we really need to do now is to add sand, and we're also building like an extension of the coop for a chicken run for them to run around in. And then we just need to get some feed and we'll be ready to bring our first chickens in.
On top of that, we ran into a few hiccups along the way. I unknowingly busted our sewage pipe, which then led us to call on some really helpful and handy neighbors to help us fix it. It was the original clay piping for the house, so who knows when they put that in, but we were digging out a bush and I struck the pipe and broke it up, and we had some really helpful, handy neighbors that were able to get that situated.
So the place that happened actually is to our left over here, and the reason we're moving the bush is because it was so massive and overgrown, and we just really wanted to be able to see the house, and it was hiding this beautiful chimney that the Williams family built. And it's just such an iconic part of the house that we really think you should be able to see when you're driving up to the property. So we were trying to dig out this bush. Brock had chainsawed it down pretty far, and we just couldn't get the roots out of it. So our friends came over with their tractor and were helping us dig it out. And we had no idea that there was a sewage pipe right there.
Yeah.
So we busted it.
We did, but thankfully our neighbors are super helpful and super handy, and they were able to get it back up and running. And now we know exactly where our septic tank is and where our pipes are, so we know going forward not to dig there. But we're very thankful for their help, and that's one thing that we've just been very fortunate about here in this part of the world is everyone's been super friendly, super nice, and it's just been a really welcoming experience. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's really unbelievable. I've never had this experience moving anywhere where there's so many people in your neighborhood that are so genuine. They really want to get to know you. They're not just dropping by to get the latest gossip or something. They really want to come over and get to know you. And no one needs to exchange phone numbers because everyone knows where everyone lives. They just come on over and say hi and want to talk. And we had one guy come over with his grandson in a tractor. Before we know it, we had like 5 people in our front yard helping us out just because they're nice people.
Yeah.
And it was just incredible. We're super grateful to them for their help. When are we planning on getting chickens and pigs?
We are getting chickens and pigs really shortly. Chickens we're probably getting within the next week or two, and then pigs shortly after that. We just wanted to make sure that we had everything ready to go, that our chicken coop and pig pens were in a really good spot, that we could feel comfortable with putting the animals in there. And it should be any day now that we get those little guys running around in there, and we're really looking forward to that.
Are we making any changes to our pig pen?
As of right now, I don't think we need to make any changes. It's a pretty well-built pig pen, and I think it has everything we need. Now, we're no farmers, we're no experts. We're learning as we go. So a lot of this is going to be trial and error. But from our understanding, it has everything the pigs need in terms of shelter, in terms of wallows, in terms of water, food troughs, everything that we could imagine. Now, we are going to use the pigs kind of as a utility pig, in that we're going to have them help us clear some of the land. I think we could really benefit from that. We may get goats down the line, but I think we're going to try pigs first, just because we can knock out two birds with one stone, and that we are going to eat the pigs. So we're going to see if they could also help us clear some of the brush.
Yeah, so just to explain that a little further, we have all of these areas along our creek on both sides that are just completely overgrown with brush, but would actually be really great pasture land. And it also would just be nice to be able to easily walk down to the creek so that we can go hang out down there. So whenever we get pigs, we'll let them graze down there a lot, set up some kind of fencing for them so that we can enjoy that and make that land usable again.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of people have recommended that we get goats, and that's definitely on our radar, on our bucket list. The problem with goats right now is we just don't have the right fencing system to keep the goats maintained. We are looking into some temporary fencing that we could set up. So if you guys have any ideas about that, please let me know. But we're trying definitely to invest in either a pig or a goat to help us clear the land.
Yeah, and a lot of people, like every video that we post, people tell us that we need to get goats.
Yeah.
And we totally agree. We'd like to get goats. We don't have a spot right now where we can keep them. We don't have a pen for them. And so we need to build that.
Yeah.
We also know a little more about taking care of pigs and chickens and find out they're easier animals than goats. So we're not sure we want to get them right away. We're also not ready for sure to have something that needs to be milked. So we would not get milk goats if we were to get them. Although I would love to have that someday. We're just not ready for it yet. We have so many other projects going on. We can't have something that's that tasking. But we see the wisdom in it. We want to get goats someday. Definitely. For sure. Just it might be a little bit longer before we do that.
No, I agree. And I think building off of that, one thing that we've learned is you got to give yourself more time and a little bit more flexibility to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, especially when it comes to being outdoors. Out here it rains a lot. The weather can turn on the dime. Our schedules are very unpredictable at the moment. So, something that you may think would only take one day, maybe 2 days, have to be a little bit more flexible with that. Maybe get as much as you can in one day done, and then kind of move on from there. Never trying to just go all in on something when you can't actually complete it. So I think, especially when it comes to land work, there's so much here, and it can be overwhelming if we don't prioritize things and map out exactly what we need done. So we try to take everything in chunks, take everything in bits. I think that's something we've taken from other aspects of our life and are going to apply into the homestead management itself. Is we want to have a good plan. We want to be very structured in how we handle different things, but at the same realistic. I think that's the same thing, or that's the biggest thing, is like being realistic about, okay, we have a tree that just fell down. Like, I'm not going to be able to chainsaw it and pull it out all by myself in one day. Which when we first moved here, we were all gun ho, and I was like, oh, let's do this, and you realize how kind of slow moving some of these things are.
Yeah, I think life is one big optimism trap, and it's definitely true. We thought it was going to take us, one day to clean out even just the chicken coop, for example, and it ended up taking me, one afternoon interrupted 10 times by the kids, and then another afternoon, and then we're still not quite finished with it. So, it's become a multiple day thing, which is fine. We don't have to be in a huge rush to finish something like that. But it's just something to keep in mind while we're here, that we have a 3-month plan of everything that we want to get accomplished.
Yeah.
And we need to be flexible with that plan. We need to realize that there might be some projects that don't get done, but they will get done eventually. It's good that we have them on the list so that we can start crossing things off. Yeah. Definitely chickens and pigs will get crossed off this month. Yeah. We'll have their coops ready, their pen ready, and we'll get some animals in there. Let's talk about the garden, because we did do some work on the garden this past week, which is another optimism trap. But we've made, I say, of anything on our property, we've probably made the most progress on our garden. Just as far as I've been in, there's so much weeding. We've got almost all of the weeds out, which is really saying something, because that place was so overgrown. Yeah. We've almost got the garden beds cleared so that we can start laying down soil and tilling it up and planting some stuff. Yeah. The biggest hurdle right now in the garden is the pond, which, so the garden has this beautiful fountain, and then that leads down like this little river type structure and then into a little koi pond. It's really beautiful. And we figured out how to get it started, and it was running, but the water wasn't flowing down. And we realized that that's because it was so overgrown. There was like a thick mat of like a foot deep of plants and things at the bottom that was actually stopping the water, it was blocking the water. So we both got in there and were ripping things up, you especially, which was not the most delightful experience because that pond is also covered with salamanders that are super slimy and gross. But we did make a lot of progress. We got it flowing, still have more to do. It was sad having to rip out some of the plants in there because they were so beautiful, but I'm definitely going to plant more, you know, lily pads and other aquatic plants in the future to bring some life back. But the priority right now is just to get it running. It's going to sound so beautiful when you're in there to hear that water running and to be able to watch it. And it's going to be a really peaceful spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of those things that we just happened to discover when we moved here was, oh, look, there's a beautiful little pond here. And we didn't even know that it had power running to it until we started playing around with it. Found the cord, plugged it in, and all worked really well. But like Anna mentioned, there was just so much growth in there that it had a really hard time flowing. So we ripped out a lot of the weeds, a lot of the plants. Anna did a really good job of getting all the weeds out there. And now it's just almost ready. I would say, you know, we just ordered a new pump filter and we just have to rip out a little bit more, then I think it's ready to go, right?
Yeah, the only other problem we have, which this is a big problem, is that we've had a lot of critters getting in there, particularly deer. The deer ate all our blueberries, so we're not going to have as much of a blueberry harvest as we hoped. A good thing about the garden is that it's actually set up with an electric fence around it. Part of it is torn down right now because of a huge tree that fell on our property, so we have to repair that, and then we have to get the electric fence set up again, and then critters won't be able to get in there and eat all of our stuff. But we just haven't been able to do that yet. So that's another really big, very important thing that we need to do before we start planting anything new in there. It's obviously not that big of a deal that we don't have very many blueberries this year. We weren't expecting to have a harvest at all when we moved in here, and there's been way more fruit trees and mature plants, the grapevine and things than we ever expected. So we're very grateful for that, and we'll enjoy it in the future and get it set up so that next year the deer don't take all of our berries.
Yeah, really excited about that opportunity, and Anna's done a really good job of just clearing it all out. It looks like a completely different place already, so we are excited to see that progress. Why in the world do we need a workout gym when we live here with all the work that we're doing?
Well, Brock and I were athletes, and I think we just really enjoy working out. First of all, we enjoy physical activity. We definitely are in pursuit of what we call our Amish bods, you know, being fit from working on the land and being healthy in that sense. We're definitely going to get our Amish bods on, but we just love to be able to do things that improve our mobility. Like for me, the biggest thing, especially when I'm pregnant, is I want to be able to have a space where I can do functional fitness things that help me feel better. You know, a lot of times when you're working on the land, that kind of exercise actually can hurt your back. It can hurt your body, and you really need time to stretch your body out and rehabilitate and that kind of thing. I don't think we'll be in the gym every single day. I plan to work out 4 days a week, maybe 5, but probably 4 days. I think that's really realistic. My workouts are usually like 30 minutes long. I'm not in there for hours, but I'm just doing things like weightlifting, stretching, yoga. Sometimes I do Peloton, just things that make my body feel better. Working on the land definitely helps you get stronger, but it doesn't necessarily make your body feel better.
No, for sure. And I think that's one of the things that we tackled this week. We were able to get one of those cabins kind of converted into a workout room, laid some mats down, foamed up some gaps in the insulation, killed some ants, got some things cleaned up. And we are definitely looking forward to using that space, and we're very thankful for it.
Yeah, it's nothing fancy, but it is a big space. It's kind of like, you know, having a garage gym. Not anything fancy. We don't have any drywall or anything in there, just kind of plywood walls. But it fits all of our equipment, and it's going to be really nice to be able to use that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
How did the field look after bush hogging, and how long has it been since that's been done?
Yeah, so one of our neighbors that we mentioned earlier, just a fantastic individual. He came over and offered to cut our entire pasture for us. This was about a week, maybe a week and a half ago. And we're talking weeds and plants 6 feet high, brush as thick as you could imagine. And he came over, and within, I don't know, an hour or two, he knocked it all away.
And that was a huge relief to get our pasture bush hogged. We were kind of intimidated by that because we have a tractor on our property. It's a really cool 1950s tractor that's in great shape that we know we're going to be able to get up and running, but we haven't had the time to do it yet. We haven't had the time to figure out how to use it. We have another neighbor that's offered to come over soon and help us with that. So we're going to get it running, but you know, just looking at our pasture, such tall weeds, and they're continuing to grow. it was very discouraging. So to have that be done was just a huge deal for us. Makes us feel so much better, so much more put together.
Yeah.
It also revealed the shipping container.
Yes.
Our silly little video about the stupid box that went viral.
Mm-hmm.
So if you didn't see the shorts about that, after we bush hogged our field, we noticed a huge box at the edge of our pasture, a shipping container, a trailer, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of disputes in the comments about what we should call this box. So anyways, we noticed that there was a box there and there was a bunch of stuff inside of it. We had no idea that it was there beforehand. And so we made a video about it, and I just didn't really know what I wanted to post that day. And so I was like, I'll just post about this box because I had previously posted on my stories and people seemed interested in it. And it went completely viral. People were freaking out about what's inside the box. And so we'll tell you, you can go back and look at the video. We made a video about everything inside of it, but basically old moldings, old windows, some things that are probably original to the house. There was a Christmas tree. There was a 3-foot-long snakeskin. There were barrels full of unknown contents. Some people have told us that it's cleaning solution in there. We aren't totally sure, but just different random things, original screens to the house.
Yeah.
It was kind of a fun find. We certainly didn't expect that to be one of our most popular videos,
No.
but people love the box.
Yes. A lot of contention over, is it a trailer? Is it a shipping container? Are you 6 foot? Are you 6'1"? A lot of dispute over that in the comments. So
What would you say is the most satisfying part of this week's work?
the most satisfying part of this week's work has definitely been the routine that we've been able to get into. We've now been here for a little bit over a month. Things have started to settle down. We've slowly morphed back into a really strong routine. Ann and I are both creatures of habit. We really, really pride ourselves on trying to stay to a really regimented schedule. It's cliche that discipline equals freedom, but it really does, especially when you have little kids, especially when you have a lot of work to do, which just piles up and piles up. And the more that we can plan out our days and the more that we can schedule things off, it actually allows us to get a lot more done. So this is the first week that we've been able to get back into our normal, albeit not completely normal, but normal schedule, and start chipping away at different tasks and accomplishing different things. So it's just been really enjoyable to actually be settled here and start working on things. How about you?
Yeah, I totally agree. That's been really satisfying to finally be in a routine. It feels like we really live here now. This is really our home. When we first moved in, it was a difficult move. Just moving furniture into this house is difficult because we have these river stone pathways that are not conducive to moving large pieces of furniture into your home. We have small doorways that are not conducive to moving furniture into your home, or boxes, or really anything. We also have 2 little kids, and it's really hard on little kids to move. So we were really bummed out that we had to move them again. But we knew that it would be worth it for this place. And after a month here, they love it here. They're so happy. Again, we're finally back in our routine, which is so good for them and for us. And we're just starting to really enjoy ourselves, enjoy the land, and figuring out kind of a pace and a rhythm of life so that we don't burn ourselves out with all of our projects.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're looking forward to just the normal, mundane, everyday tasks. Waking up, going to open the gate, waking up, going to feed the kittens, or whatever it may be. We find a lot of enjoyment in that, in the day-to-day routine.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for following our journey. You can follow us at Piney Fork Homestead on all of our platforms. We can't wait to share more with you, and let me know your questions in the comments.
Thanks, guys.